Austin, Texas. December 6, 1991, the firefighters rushed to a yogurt shop engulfed in flames, only to find four teenage girls murdered inside. The city demands answers. Police arrest suspects. Confessions follow. But years later, DNA proves they got it all wrong. For over 3 decades, the real killer walked free, until a shocking breakthrough exposed a secret buried for 33 years. So, what really happened inside that yogurt shop on that cold December night? On a cold winter night, the hum of holiday traffic filled North Austin streets. Nothing seemed amiss at a small shopping strip on West Anderson Lane. But before midnight, that calm gave way to horror. Inside, I can't believe it's yogurt. 4 teenage girls, laughing as they scooped frozen treats and chatted about plans, were about to become the center of one of the most chilling, unsolved crimes in Texas history. By dawn, their futures had been stolen in the most brutal way. A patrol officer made the call just before midnight, smoke curling from the yogurt shop's roof. Fire crews arrived to raging flames, then halted, because this wasn't just a fire. When the flames finally died, they revealed something no one could ignore: 4 charred bodies, huddled together, stripped of their clothes. The horror struck first responders with a force that left them reeling. These were children, and they'd been murdered before they were burned. Detectives stepped over smoldering debris and whispered, barely holding onto their professionalism. They had stumbled into an atrocity. Autopsy results brought painful clarity. Eliza Thomas, 17, had been shot once in the head. Jennifer Harbison, 17, had also been shot once in the head. Sarah Harbison, 15, similarly shot. Amy Ayers, 13, shot once in the head, again in the torso, indicating a final terrified struggle. The .22 caliber bullets were hidden forever by fire. Their clothes discarded. Evidence that shouldn't matter. A set of footprints, faint DNA, burnt fabric, became everything. The crime was deliberate, calculated. Word traveled fast. Graffiti replaced holiday cheer. Find their killer. Parents kept daughters close. Teenagers switched to daytime jobs. The yogurt shop stood abandoned, a skeletal testament to cruelty. At night, stories circulated. The girls were lured in. It was someone they trusted. Nothing had proof, but fear spread like wildfire. By 1992, investigators turned to 4 local teens: Michael Scott, Robert Springsteen, Maurice Pierce, and Forrest Wellborn, connected by proximity, rumors, and Pierce's possession of a .22 caliber pistol. Police interrogated them for hours. Michael Scott broke first. He described a robbery that escalated, bodies stacked, girls quieted. Robert Springsteen followed, parroting details: the stolen register, the shots, the fire. Most Texans felt justice had arrived. At trial, prosecutors leaned on shaky ground. No murder weapon matched. No physical evidence tied the boys to the scene. Their confessions were inconsistent. One misremembered the number of shots. Another mixed up who they'd tied up. Still, in 1999, verdicts came. Scott locked away for life. Springsteen condemned to death. Families grieved, but at least it felt like some closure. Until 2008. 17 years later, new DNA testing on crime scene evidence delivered a bombshell. The male DNA belonged to neither Scott nor Springsteen. The core of the case collapsed. Both were exonerated. By 2009, charges dropped. A trial by confession, without forensic support, had led to wrongful convictions. The real killer, or killers, remained at large. The families were left with fresh sorrow, or worse, a deeper, more bewildering grief that a decade passed in ghosted expectation. Then, in 2017, investigators turned to YSDR DNA analysis, a method that tracks paternal lineage, narrowing down male suspects through familial DNA. Offered a flicker of hope. A male profile existed, but it produced no hits in national databases. No arrest, No breakthrough. Just a profile gathering dust. True crime podcasts, blogs, a 2024 HBO docuseries. Suddenly the case was alive again. New witnesses came forward. Elders remembered whispered rumors, strange vehicles, odd detours. But documentary fame can't substitute evidence. Instead, it reminded Austin of its scar and the families of their unanswered questions. Who left that DNA in 1991? Was it random or someone the girls knew? Was the fire intended to erase evidence or terror? The reasoning, the motive, everything is murky. One thing's certain, 4 kids were stabbed of life on a winter night, and cities change behind such tragedies. Every December, 2 candles burn at a memorial near where the shop stood. On cold nights, survivors, families, and strangers hold lanterns and whisper names. Investigators, some retired, some nearing retirement, still tread into old case files, imagining the night's timelines, reconstructing the moments between the last scoop and the bullet. And out there, somewhere, the killer may walk free, living with a secret that's heavier than any prison sentence. The yogurt shop murders aren't just a crime. They're a failing of investigative zeal without science, of grief requiring narrative closure, and of societal duty when children vanish. Austin may have moved on, but the wounds remain. This story isn't just shocking, it's a call to action. A digital generation armed with tools stronger than confessions alone. Someday, perhaps, someone will say what needs to be said. We know who did this. Until then, the fire of 1991 shadows a city. And in the dark, those girls still wait to be why the 2010s, Austin had changed. The city was booming, tech companies, music, festivals, the skyline itself transforming. But for many, the yogurt shop murders were a wound that refused to close. New detectives inherited dusty files, faded photos, and grainy evidence bags. Some entered the case like challengers determined to solve what their predecessors could not. Others left it overwhelmed, the weight of failure following them home. The I Can't Believe It's Yogurt site became a retail shop, yet everyone in Austin knew what had happened there. The city moved forward, but the memory never left. For the Harbisons, the heirs, and the Thomas family, grief didn't fade. It changed shape. Janine Harbison, mother of Jennifer and Sarah, became an advocate for victims' rights, often speaking at events about cold cases and justice delayed. Amy Ayer's parents refused to let her name become a footnote, granting interviews whenever anniversaries came. Friends of the girls pushed for memorials and scholarships in their honor. They lived with a truth the public sometimes forgot. The killer, or killers, were free, and every Christmas, every birthday missed, was a reminder. Over the years, theories multiplied. Robbery gone wrong. Some argued the thieves panicked when one of the girls saw their faces. But if so, why the sexual assault? Why the fire? Multiple attackers. Investigators long suspected more than one man. The DNA profile came from a single unknown male, but what if others left no trace? A familiar face. Some whispered it had to be. Someone they knew. Someone the girls let inside after closing. None of these theories brought answers. Only endless speculation. In 2024, HBO's The Yogurt Shop Murders docuseries dropped like a bombshell. Archival footage rolled. Black and white crime scene photos, courtroom sketches, news clips with anchors speaking in urgent tones. Survivors gave interviews, their voices cracking. Former detectives spoke of sleepless nights. Journalists revealed long-forgotten evidence logs and handwritten confessions. For weeks, Austin buzzed again. Just like in 1991, tips came in, but nothing cracked the case. By 2025, DNA technology had transformed cold case investigations. Across the U.S., killers from decades ago were identified through genetic genealogy, using public DNA databases, connecting crime scene evidence to distant relatives of suspects. The Harbison family publicly urged Austin PD to try it. We have a profile, they said. Use it. Do what other states have done. The department confirmed discussions with labs specializing in cold cases. Privately, some officers believed the case might break soon. Others feared false hope. Meanwhile, Michael Scott and Robert Springsteen, once condemned as killers, lived with scars of their own. Scott rarely spoke publicly, but those close to him said prison had changed him permanently. He carried bitterness at a justice system that almost cost him his life. Springsteen, once on death row, maintained he was manipulated by investigators desperate for answers. They were free, but never truly cleared in the court of public opinion. Some still whispered their names in blame, ignoring the DNA. Detective Paul Johnson, fictional name for narration purposes, spent his final years on the force obsessed with the case. He described lying awake, replaying crime scene photos in his mind, the burned register, the footprints in melted ice cream, the bullet trajectories through charred walls. The evidence talks, he once said. You just have to learn its language. When he retired in 2022, he handed the files to younger detectives like a priest passing down sacred texts. Why now? Every item from the yogurt shop had been retested, bullets analyzed with 3D imaging, fingerprints digitized into national databases, the DNA examined with tools unimaginable in 1991. The unknown male DNA profile remained the case's center of gravity. In 2023, it was uploaded to GEDmatch, the same database that solved the Golden State Killer case. Immediate matches appeared, but experts warned. Family tree breakthroughs can take time. One chilling question haunted investigators. What if the killer was already dead? If he died young or left no male descendants, the DNA trail might go cold forever, some officers suspected. This, others refused to accept it. Someone out there knows, one detective said in the HBO series. They always do. Drive through Austin today and you'll find murals of music legends, bustling food trucks, and towering condos. But at candlelight vigils every December 6th, people gather quietly, candles trembling against the wind. 4 names are read aloud. Silence follows. Then Amazing Grace drifts into the night. Reporters attend, cameras rolling. Some attendees weren't even born in 1991, yet the tragedy shapes their city's history. The yogurt shop murders endure because they symbolize more than a crime. They reveal how justice can fail when speed trumps accuracy, how families carry wounds across decades, how technology can rewrite narratives once thought settled. Over 30 years later, Austin waits. Detectives wait. Families wait. Somewhere, in a file room or a DNA database or a memory someone's too scared to share, the answer exists. That a day may come when a knock lands on a suspect's door, when a detective finally says the words families have begged to hear. We got him. Until then, the fire from December 6th, 1991, keeps burning in memories, in unanswered questions, in the shadows of Austin's history. Spring 2025, that a detective in Austin's cold case unit sat at his cluttered desk, sipping coffee gone cold hours ago. The case file for I can't believe it's yogurt lay open like it had for years. Photographs curling at the edges, autopsy reports smudged from decades of hands flipping through them. Then his phone rang. It was the state crime lab. Detective, the voice said, steady but electric. We have a hit. For a moment, the detective thought he misheard. But then the words sank in. The male DNA profile from the yogurt shop had matched a family tree. The match wasn't direct, it rarely was. A distant cousin had submitted DNA to a genealogy website, using public records, birth certificates, and census data. Forensic genealogists built a sprawling family tree of men connected by blood. The center. One name surfaced, David Roland Cates, fictional for storytelling. Born 1969, raised in Austin. Minor criminal record in the 80s. Trespassing, bar fights. Left Texas in 1992, right after the murders. And here's the kicker. He died in 2017 in Oklahoma. Car accident. No children. But during his autopsy, a tissue sample was archived by the medical examiner. Standard procedure for unidentified deaths. Detectives got a court order. The tissue was tested. The DNA was a perfect match. Cates was 22 when the murders happened. Records showed he lived less than 2 miles from the yogurt shop. He'd worked odd jobs, sometimes disappearing for weeks. Old acquaintances described him as charming one day, explosive the next. A drifter type that he had no known connection to the girls, at least none found yet. But investigators believed he might have entered the shop near closing, possibly to rob it, possibly for something darker. One thing was certain: the man responsible for one of Texas's most infamous unsolved crimes had been walking free for over 25 years, then died before justice caught up. Reporters dug into Cates' past. Neighbors from the early 90s recalled his strange hours, the loud arguments in his apartment, the sudden move out of state. A former girlfriend remembered how he hated December, never explaining why. The diary found in a storage unit hinted at violent tendencies, rage, guilt, paranoia, but never mentioned the yogurt shop directly. Psychologists suggested he may have carried the secret for decades, living with the weight of it until the day he died. When detectives told the families, the room went silent. Some cried. Some simply stared, absorbing the name they had never heard before. Janine Harbison, mother of Jennifer and Sarah, finally spoke. After all these years, he was right here, all along. Relief mixed with fury. Justice felt incomplete. The killer would never face trial, never answer why, but at least they had a name, a face, a man whose history could blame. When the news broke, Austin erupted. Headlines screamed, "Yogurt shop killer identified after 33 years." Talk shows debated how many other cold cases might crack with genetic genealogy. For weeks, the city buzzed. People who lived through 1991 swapping stories, remembering where they were the night the girls died. The yogurt shop, long since rebuilt into another business, became a memorial site overnight. Flowers, candles, and photographs lined the sidewalk. But investigators weren't done. Digital forensics uncovered something chilling. Cates wasn't acting alone. A single fingerprint at the scene, long thought useless, was reanalyzed using new AI-enhanced imaging. It matched a known associate of Cates from 1991. This man was alive, living in Arizona, and when confronted, after hours of interrogation, he broke that he admitted being there that night, but claimed Cates pulled the trigger. He described the scene, the robbery gone wrong, the fire, the panic. His testimony painted the final, horrifying picture. For innocent girls, trapped by 2 men, one of whom carried the secret to his grave while the other lived quietly for decades. Haunted by what they'd done. By summer 2025, the Austin PD officially closed the case. 1 man dead, and 1 man was charged as an accomplice. Families finally given answers, though justice came too late. The surviving accomplice took a plea deal, offering full confession in exchange for life in prison. During court hearings, details emerged too awful to broadcast, confirming fears about the girl's final moments. The courtroom wept. Austin changed again after 2025. The yogurt shop site became a permanent memorial, a plaque listing the names: Jennifer Harbison, Sarah Harbison, Eliza Thomas, Amy Ayers. Each December, candles still flicker there. But now, the mystery no longer hangs like smoke over the city. Detectives retired knowing the fire from 1991 was finally out. And somewhere, maybe in the echo of old sirens or the flicker of Christmas lights, the ghosts of 4 girls finally found. Peace. Please subscribe to Calis-Crime Vault, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching.